Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre. For today's video, I chose a couple stories from the subreddit Am I the A-hole that regard to children. So let's go ahead and get started with the first story. This one's from user Not Quite a Llama. I'm getting married next year and we want my fiance's 6-year-old niece to be our flower girl. She is autistic, and when she's excited or there's a lot going on, she often fidgets, chews on things, flaps her hands, picks up things, and jumps. She also occasionally makes humming and popping noises. She doesn't have huge problems with social situations, and her parents and therapist are confident she won't be overwhelmed. She's extremely excited for the wedding and for being a flower girl. Every time we see her, she talks about it. When my family met her for the first time, my parents took me aside and quietly suggested she might be overwhelmed by the wedding and we should reconsider her being a flower girl or even attending. I told them big social events haven't been a problem for her before, and her parents and therapist believe she'll be fine, but that there's a small lounge she can go to if necessary. They then admitted they were worried about her bothering or distracting people with their movements or noises. The words my mom used were annoying and weird. Later it turned out my dad had also mentioned their concerns to her parents. Her dad had snapped at him and my dad got mad and using a slur to refer to her behavior. He apologized immediately and said he was just stressed and angry and blurted it out. But I'm appalled he would even think to say that, especially about a child. I told them off for it and they haven't said much about it since, apart from the occasional, "We do think you should reconsider." However, her parents are very involved in helping us plan, so we see her a lot. And whenever she starts making noise, my parents tell her to try and do it quieter, and I've caught my mom telling her not to flap her hands. They try to justify it by saying they want my wedding to be perfect and they don't want people to be distracted. In one conversation, we were talking about our color scheme and I mentioned that the flowers we'd chosen for her to carry would match nicely with the chewable dinosaur necklace she wears. And in front of her, my dad said she couldn't wear the necklace because it was ugly and she'd look ridiculous, which made her cry. Her doctors, therapists, etc. have all said that her behavior shouldn't be discouraged. Even though I've explained to my parents that messing with her ways of emotional regulation is likely to cause an outright meltdown, they won't stop discouraging her behaviors. We're considering giving them the ultimatum that if they don't stop, I'll disinvite them. It's a drastic thing to do as I really do want my parents there and they're excited to see their only child get married. They're pretty stubborn people and might attempt to continue doing it anyway, but less obviously, at which point I'd have to actually disinvite them. OP, it's your wedding. It's yours and your husband's day, so you should be able to share it with whomever you want. If you want his niece to be the flower girl and you're just as excited as her from what I can read, then you let her do it and you tell your parents that they either behave or not to attend at all, just like you plan. I understand that they say that they want the wedding to be perfect, but you having the flower girl that you want would make it perfect because you clearly love this kid. So yeah, just go ahead and do it. Eventually they'd fall in line because of course they want to share this day with you. Even if it's not perfect in their eyes, it'll be perfect for you, and that's what matters. But as usual, that's just my opinion. In any case, OP has given us an update, so let's get on with that. First, a couple of clarifications. My parents aren't paying for the wedding. We didn't want them to think they had any say over our wedding because I knew they'd push for a really traditional wedding, which is not what we want. We're after a semi-traditional vibe. In terms of the fact that we let them around her enough to behave like that, as soon as we realized they were trying to change my fiance's niece's behavior, we only let them around her under constant supervision. But we realized that wasn't enough after the dinosaur incident and they haven't seen her since. We only plan to let them see her again if we're confident they can change their behavior. Also, thank you all for your responses, especially to the autistic adults who commented. You've all been so helpful and you've helped me figure out a game plan for confronting my parents. So here's what happened. I called my dad and basically told him that my wedding would be perfect if someone falls over while walking down the aisle. My wedding will be perfect if someone has a coughing fit during a toast. My wedding will be perfect if my niece-to-be flaps her way down the aisle and hums through my vows. My wedding will not be perfect if my parents decide to bully an autistic child. I said they know there will be other children there, and the fact they're only picking on her shows me they don't care if kids cause distractions. They care if those distractions are obviously autistic and not normal. I said I'm taking this extremely serious and that they've made me feel ashamed to be their daughter, and the way they're treating this child is not only against medical advice, it is cruel. Someone in here mentioned it was like asking a person not to smile, so I used that analogy. I asked him if he thought he could go my entire wedding without smiling once, and how he would feel if every time he smiled, someone told him to stop because it was embarrassing. I let him know that if I thought their presence at my wedding would be harmful to my niece-to-be, they would not be welcomed at my wedding because I don't want people who can't be kind to children there. I said I expected them to apologize to her parents and to her and tell her they were wrong to discourage her stims. And I said they would need to show they had changed their behavior if they wanted to be included at my wedding, which would include being actively positive towards her about her stims. I said if he had any questions about stimming, I could try and answer them or ask my soon-to-be siblings-in-law. He apologized profusely to me and he really did seem embarrassed. He said he would apologize and get mom to apologize too, and that if it was what I wanted for my wedding, they would be positive about her stimming. My mom texted me an apology afterwards and also promised to be nice about the stimming. We're going to monitor their behavior around her to make sure. My niece-to-be's parents have unfortunately noticed she's been tucking her necklace under her shirt since my dad's comment, which is heartbreaking, and I'm furious he got to her like that. So we've ordered different colored chewable dinosaur necklaces for her parents, my fiance's other sibling, her grandparents, and I to wear around her, especially in public, so she can see there's nothing embarrassing about wearing one. We also ordered a couple of spares, and I'm going to strongly encourage my parents to wear them at least once in front of her because they are the ones who did this damage. Good for you, OP. That's a really great way to stand by your niece-to-be and, to help her out and feel comfortable in the wedding that she's so excited to be a part of. So congratulations. Seems like you got through to your parents, which is a really good thing, and I think they should be wearing those necklaces more than once to make her feel better about herself. Alright, and on that note, let's move on to the main story. This one's from user Capital Guard. The background. 12 years ago, my best friend passed away during our last year of university. The accident shook us all, and no one more than his wife, A, who was at that point 4 months pregnant. All three of us had been incredibly close friends. She couldn't do it alone, and her family lived 2,000 miles away. After speaking to her about it, I made a decision. I was the more financially stable of the two of us. I'd secured a position at a law firm, this is in the UK, and had some inheritance from my grandparents. So, I became that base of support. I took A to the doctors, helped her with rent, got her groceries, etc. When the twins were born, I moved onto her couch for 3 months, helping in any way I could. For the next 4 years, it worked like this. We lived separately, but I'd spend half the week at hers helping with the kids. From diapers to preschool, I was there. I was never officially their parent, no papers were signed, but I gave emotional, practical, and financial support. When they began schooling, I was listed as a non-parental guardian. I was then offered a promotion, which included a lot of travel. Again, A and I spoke, and I decided to take it. I spent the next 2 years making it back once a month. I'd spend 3 to 5 days with them, then leave again. For 2 years after that, the balance became half and half travel and home. For the past 4 years, I've used the UK as a hub, doing business trips, and have gone back to spending 3 to 4 days a week with them. My relationship with the kids. There's a way of shortening my name which is very baby friendly, and when the twins were little, we taught them to call me that. There were some slip-ups when they were small, but I always try to make sure that they knew I wasn't substituting their biological father. To this day, they call me the shortened version of my name when they speak to me directly, and they've been told to ask your shortened name from their mother before. It's effectively my title, but like all of this, it's unfortunately not straightforward. In terms of attachment, I've been the one that they've called out for after a nightmare, run to after scoring a goal, held a hand up when we went to the doctors. When I was overseas, we'd called every 2 to 3 days to talk. They also often stay over at my place on weekends and afternoons. They have their own area in my home. To be clear, this whole thing has never been romantic. Both she and I have seen other people, and in the past year she's found a very nice guy who both the kids like, which is great. He and I have been amicable since we met, and I've never gotten hostility from him. I hold no anger over her finding someone to be with. She deserves to be happy, and this new guy seems to be truly a good one. She has dated before, but they were never serious enough to introduce to the kids. This is the first time, and luckily, they seem to like him too. The issue at hand. I've always tried to be there for the kids' big events. School plays, birthdays, tournaments, etc. I've been to parent-teacher meetings, taken them to the doctor. Recently, their school had set up a show fundraising thing, where the parents are invited to come and donate generously. I assumed I was going and set aside time, but when I broached the subject with A, she said she wanted her partner to come. I said that we could all go. She said it was parents only. I said jokingly that he wasn't really the kid's parent, to which she said, well, technically neither are you. At that point I got angry, feeling that was deeply unfair. We got into a fight and it ended with me being told I wouldn't be welcomed at the event. I left and we haven't spoken since. I get that she's their mother. She has a genetic and legal position that I don't, and I'm not angry about her wanting her partner to come to the event. Being told that I wasn't a parent though, that hurts a lot. I think it's mostly the fact that for me, the way she said it really seemed to imply that I wasn't important in their lives, and I think I was justified in reacting. OP, I side with you completely. Yes, you are not the kid's parent technically like the mother says, but you've been a constant father figure in their lives since the moment they were born, even before that. Considering the life you have that it seems incredibly busy, you definitely make a lot of time open for you to be present in their lives, school plays and football matches and all that stuff, which is something a parent actually does. So yeah, you're not the biological father, but I would say you are definitely a parent-like figure if you're not a legal parent. And in my opinion, I think it's completely justifiable that you would be offended and upset with your friend A. But like I usually say, that's just my opinion. However, OP has an update for us, so let's get to that one. This is 3 months after the original post. For the record, I did not attend the show, but was delighted by the pictures. The best thing to do was to talk to A. We'd been best friends for over a decade, and I'm happy to report we continue to be. I'll give the short of the situation. A and I spoke a lot. It started with little steps, but we got to the big issues. Our link, my link with the kids, her new partner, the whole deal. Little by little, we got things set straight, and where we both sit on them. There was a lot to untangle, but 15 years of friendship saw us through. The next phase was talking to the kids. First A, then us together. I'd already gone back to seeing them, and as I mentioned before, their welfare has always been a priority. Surprisingly, the conversation was more straightforward than it had been with A. Somewhere in the middle, we also spoke, there was a lot of speaking, with A's partner, who I will be calling B. The beginning wasn't the smoothest, but we got there. Here's what came out of it. The truth of the matter is, I'm not the twins' biological father. But what we realized was that somewhere in the past 12 years of sharing our lives, and despite trying so hard not to overstep boundaries, I fell into the role. I can't separate myself, and they don't want me to. So slowly we've been working on what this new unconventional normality looks like. B has been a surprising godsend in all of this. I really think A's found a good guy. I'm still mostly called by my nickname, but the slips have gone uncorrected. In the meantime, B's gotten his own moniker. A little way down the line in all of this, the bug became a thing, so we decided to take a big jump. I moved in for the duration of lockdown. It was easier than moving their whole household into my flat. No better way to put an arrangement to the test. I'm back to my university days of sleeping on the couch, working at the kitchen table and cooking every dinner. I've stopped not one, but 2 doomed attempts at self-dyeing hair and had a conversation with one twin about taking my surname when he's older. He thinks it makes his name sound cooler, and I've said that we'll ask his mom. So, it's not easy, we're adjusting, and we know that this will remain unconventional. However, the kids are happy and we adults are too. If you're wondering about adoption, in the UK there is no option to adopt someone you are not related to unless you A. apply for an adoption order, which would sever the link with the living parent, or B. are the partner of their living parent. As can be seen, neither would work for our case. However, we figured out a system a long time ago, and it includes what to do if anything were to befall A. The kid's safety is always ensured, I promise. Well, that was a really nice ending to this whole thing. I mean, the new boyfriend apparently is a really cool guy and everybody loves him, even OP, which is great because, you know, he's kind of part of this family as well now. The kids are happy, A is happy, so that's a really great ending. I've got no commentary on this one. So I'll just go on and say, I hope you liked it, and if you did, go ahead and click like. If you still haven't subscribed and you like the content, then what are you waiting for? Just click subscribe and become a part of this community. Also, don't forget to visit the Lost Genre subreddit. There's a link in the description. There you can cross-post any story you'd like for me to feature in a video, or even write your own like somebody already has. And having said all that, I'll see you guys on the next video.